It's Liverpool 2 and Manchester City 0. Let's get into what happened in the Premier League on Match Day Sunday. The big question on everyone's mind is what happened in that match? How did it happen? How is it that Liverpool, even though they seemingly had less ball possession, was still able to come out on top with a 2-0 victory over Manchester City, the mighty Manchester City? Well, there's a couple of things to consider in this match, and especially thinking about Liverpool with a couple of injuries to some major role players in their tactical game, and Liverpool still able to remain composed, take possession of the game, or take control of the game, even though they had less possession than Manchester City. Now, when we look at some of the statistics in this particular match over here, you'll see Manchester City managing 66% of the ball possession to Liverpool's 34%. Shots on target to me is something that particularly grabs my attention. Manchester City going in the direction of goal and taking shots 33 times as opposed to Liverpool's 13. But here's where it becomes very, very interesting. Manchester City only managing 6 shots on target, making sure that they've at least got some type of threat at goal at Liverpool. Liverpool, on the other hand, with only 13 shots in total, with 5 on target, and 2 of those, of course, being the 2 goals that were scored. Now, when we look at the shots off target, it tells us that there's 11 from Manchester City and 4 from Liverpool. Now, combined, that means 17 shots in the direction of the goal frame. The other shots, then just not close enough, not threatening enough. So, although the volumes were there, they weren't volumes that were really speaking about taking control of the game or dominating the game. And I think that was all on Liverpool. Now, Liverpool done something very, very interesting. And I love the way that Arne Slot this time created the press. Well, what he's done was he's made Liverpool playing these straight lines, 3 straight lines, and kept that formation throughout. So it was the 4 at the back, it was the 4 in the midfield, and then you have the 2 up front, which I think is fantastic. And they stayed close by, remaining very, very compact. So the moment Manchester City won the ball back, let's say they would win it from one of the front 2 players, they immediately would be challenged for that ball. And if they manage to pass that 2 players, immediately they hit a wall of another 4 players. And once they are able to get past those players, they would then run into that massive wall at the back, those other 4 defending players. And this really choked Manchester City's gameplay and made it very, very uncomfortable for them playing through the middle of the park, thus forcing them to play out wide on the wings. Well, this allowed Liverpool then to spread Manchester City very, very thinly through the middle of the park. And the moment Liverpool got the ball back into possession, they would play the ball cross through the middle of the park, allowing Mo Salah and Diaz to get a good run in through the middle, where Manchester City was a lot thinner. And we saw this time and time again. One of the things that I really love, that I've noticed that Liverpool done in this match, was they just killed the pace of the game. So whenever City gets possession of the ball, they try and start, getting things up, revving up the tempo of the game, and getting a good run in on the ball, and they would lose possession. And what does Liverpool do? They slow the tempo down so dramatically that Manchester City's players ended up walking for majority of the time that Liverpool had the ball in their possession. There was no running at the Liverpool players. There was a lack of aggression, and I think that is just a clever tactic by Arne Slot to really kill the pace of the game, allowing Liverpool, when they had the possession, to be more dangerous and more clinical with the possession, rather than just having the ball in possession and not doing much with it. Now, In contrast, Manchester City, when they had the ball in possession, they were really forced into making that difficult decision as to which side they were going to run with that ball, whether they're going to the left or to the right. But that took up a large chunk of the time that they had with the ball. Just trying to find ways through the middle wasn't a viable option, toying around, creating a couple of passes, then eventually being forced to go wide where they lost the ball more often than not. Now, this was a fantastic tactic by Arne Slot, but it was also one that I think at times was a little bit dangerous. We saw there were one or two moments where Manchester City players were able to slip by the Liverpool defence, and Liverpool were found wanting in certain areas, or perhaps saying they were found wanting isn't the correct way of putting it, because they still managed to create that offside trap. So well done on them for that. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean for Liverpool? What does this mean for the title chase? And I know there's a lot of excitement behind or after this match, and the type of tactics that we see Liverpool applying over here, and it lets us know that Arne Slot is ready to change up his own tactics depending on who the player is that they face. Now, this is great because Liverpool have some tough fixtures coming up in the March time frame as well, and going into April. So a lot of tough fixtures. I think they play Everton again, they play Arsenal, and then they play Chelsea. 3 tough fixtures laying ahead for Liverpool Football Club, and I am sure that Arne Slot will be able to swing things around when it comes to team selection and the tactics that will be applied. Now, I don't want us to put the cart before the horse. There's a lot of commentators and commentaries on Liverpool sealing the deal, and they have showcased that they are the title winners for this season. I still maintain what I said a couple of weeks ago, and that is that Liverpool will need to be very careful not to be their own enemy over here. They need to be solid with every match going forward. They need to make sure that they are clinical, that they are neat and tidy, and they are going to have to ensure that they are going to be slotting away goals. Another thing that they also have to be careful about is injuries. Injuries are something that can really, really put a damper on the title challenge for this season. Now, why am I not that excited about where Liverpool is at the moment? Well, if we have a look at this graphic over here, last year under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool were in the exact same position. Similar amount of points, similar amount of games played. And look at that. Nearly a replica of last year. And how can we forget, or lest we forget, that from that position, Liverpool still lost the title to Manchester City. And this is very, very important. And that is why Liverpool need to remain resilient. They need to remain composed, and they need to get the job done. Let us not celebrate too quickly. Liverpool must not be their own biggest enemy. I tell you now, Arsenal are still going to throw everything that they can at this Premier League. They're still going to go for the title chase. And that's going to be the great thing about it. This is what's going to make this league a lot of fun. But Liverpool is going to have to do the same. They're going to have to match that energy, and they're going to have to keep on pushing and pushing hard. And I, like so many other Liverpool supporters, of course, will be in their corner, rooting them on and chanting as they try and make this title number 20. You'll never walk alone.